let me show myself. um, also share with you how I got started in business. I do tell my story quite frequently when it comes to starting with no money, starting from nothing. At the time I started in this field, and I say that the reason why I say that is because when I had a business, I'm going to put my quotation, when I had a business back in 2018, I still was operating from an employee mindset. It took a major shift, meaning a failed business, something that I really thought was going to be successful straight from the ground up. It was like one of those things. I had a feeling that nothing is going to get in my way. I can't lose. This is the perfect idea. And when it did not work out, to avoid like depression, to avoid, never getting up to get motivated again, I had to start writing things down, and that became more understanding where I am. And as I did consultations for other people, I consult with other business owners, people that were just trying to figure out how to fix their own credit or wanted me to assist them in credit. I started like really navigating or molding or conditioning people to try to find themselves. So today's introduction, this is an introductory class, just kind of get a feel of like where you guys are mentally. And again, if it's something where you can't take yourself off mute, just type it in the chat and I'll be able to answer any questions if you don't want to reveal yourself. But my introduction, I'm passionate about building healthy, positive mindset. Again, I believe this is all the like the core around my success. Is just my mindset, like, thinking that I gotta win, I can't fold. These things that happen in my life, I gotta continue to press forward. And when I started experiencing it for myself and start sharing it with other people, it also produced a better life for other people. Now I have over 10 plus years of experience in collections, debt purchasing, also credit therapy, and also strategizing, team development, personal development skills, and innovative thinking to bridge the wealth gap. And not only just for entrepreneurs, but for shareholders, because I got into legacy planning just about 3 years short. And legacy planning, so I've actually turned into another program to help others in that field as well. So I'm excited to, find out where you are. If you're stuck somewhere, maybe some things that I'm going to outline and mention to you tonight, that it's going to help you understand where you are, so you can kind of feel like, okay, if I'm stuck, I can get unstuck. If I need to reshift some things, if I need to go back, dot my I's, cross my T's, and this is why you are here. So stay rooted is my brand. I always like to say stay rooted is because, one, there's been a lot of adversity that has hit me within the last, I'm going to say 5 years consecutively. Like life has been good and then life has not been so good. And when it comes to building, thank you for that. It started with my belief. Consistency, because like I said, I was in a place where I did not want to be. So where I was, honestly, without the money, without the clients, without the website, without the logo, the business name, I had already seen success because that's how bad I wanted it. I had a support system, and I'm saying had because my father was my number one support system. And then I have other people as well. And not only that, my C's. I built so much through social media, not understanding that it wasn't just a post. It wasn't just, new followers, likes, comments. It was me engaging and also them seeing the consistency of me, passion, my results, me not giving up, because some people seen like literally things happening in my life because I did not keep it a secret. I always tell people that this is my own personal journey and I would like to take you all with me. So therefore you can kind of continue to grow with me. So I always talk about plant your seed, plant your seed. What does that really look like? That seed is your belief. That seed is your thought. So if you're saying, you know what, Layla, I'm at a place where I was a business owner, I got sued, or I'm just trying to find a way to start business. There's so much out there. I want to build business credit. I want to build in these areas, but I don't really know what I want. It's okay to actually not know what you want. And I think that when you start in business, it's like, we know we want success, right? We know we want the money. We want the results of what we did not have before, but you have to develop a skill. And that's where it comes from, that watering the seed. So the seed of thought, this is what I want to do. If it's a service that you wanting to provide for a solution, right? So if I say I was a credit therapist, I felt as though I was helping people, let's even just say, read the credit report, help them understand how to sue, help them understand how to like get paid from negative items. That was my area. A lot of people wasn't doing it at that time. So I found a lane, developed a skill. And then as I stayed in this lane, I didn't get distracted. I didn't care how many other people was doing credit repair. I didn't really care. I wanted to stand out. And that standing out is like, I like to call those the thorns on the roses, because I knew that I was still going to grow. I still was going to water the seed. And then as I watched it grow, I started, now here's a key, creating a safe space, because I didn't attack other people. I didn't put other people down that was doing the same thing as me. I didn't get insecure in this lane. I literally focused and developed a skill and just poured consistently in the vision. And that's where I keep going back to that stay rooted, because you have to remember the seed. You have to remember the vision. You have to remember where you started. What is your why? So we're going to break all this stuff down. And then once you watch it grow, I'm telling you, there's no better feeling, because I started looking back and saying, wow, a lot of business owners or people that start a business idea, the statistics says they don't become successful in the 2-year mark. So again, we could talk about, it was just a different time in society where money was just spent all over the place. And now we're in a different season, but I never lost sight on the vision, which is the seed that I initially planted. So when you start understanding this strategy, like belief, consistency, developing a skill, and become an expertise in it and work on a plan, where can you go wrong? Because now that you had that 1, 2, 3, 4 plan, all you got to do is write it out. Okay, I seen it for this. My market has changed. The season has changed. So now I have to replant, and then I need to get the harvest. So now you're going to reap what you sow. When I say reap what you sow, some people can look at that as a negative thing, but I like to look at everything from a positive perspective. When I say reap what I sow, I had to say, oh my goodness, I started out with a vision. It was only one seed that showed up. And I'm grateful. Alhamdulillah. I'm grateful, right? And then when you start saying, well, that is the little sprout. That little sprout was just, it started out with a vision. Who's missing out on this great information? Who wants to be in a room where they're like, okay, this is where I'm figuring out. I'm all over the place. I don't have a regimen. I don't have a layout. I don't even have a concept where I can follow the steps. So if I go fast, if sales get out of order, you may go through a season where it's just so many sales that you're like, no website, no, just get in there and do. I was so all over the place until I had to go back to the plan. Because when you start hiring people and you don't have a task or a plan to allocate to anyone, they're going to, first of all, your employees or your contractors, however you want to call, people that work with you, they're going to see that you don't have everything under control. Also, in business, anybody that works with you want to see how you handle under pressure. These are a lot of mistakes that I've made. How did I deal with high volume and how did I deal with low volume? Let me know if I'm going too fast. If you have any questions on this slide or anything that I've mentioned so far, let me know. If not, I'm gonna go to the next slide. You good? All right, so the start of excellence. A lot of people don't understand like where I get this tenacity from, where I get this positive energy from. No matter if I don't feel like it or not, I still have to have clarity of my objective. This is why it becomes the start of excellence, because when you see a vision, if it's something like, oh, I do hair, oh, I lay lashes, you have to say, I am the best at what I do, period. You don't have to say it vocally. Hey, you can say it vocally, or you can say it mentally in your mind, and you can just say it in your motions, in your actions, and how you move, how you work. Getting bigger on a social platform started to shift my mind and how I think. Oh, I got to do it a different way. I got to do it a different way, because other people in my lane, it started getting, I guess you could say, more and more people that were in the lane. That at first it was just kind of like a wide open lane. And I was just kind of coasting and skating till it started getting a little tight in room. And I started changing and it was not clear. I started losing clarity of my objective. That is a really key point of staying in excellence. When you start an idea and you're like, you know what? Don't say, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how this is going to be successful. You have to figure it out with clarity. I'm going to be the best hairdresser if I only start with one bob, okay? If I start with just braids to the back, I'm going to master that until I can go on to the next thing. And that's what happened. So many people attack me like, oh, she didn't know anything. She don't know enough. So what I started doing in my marketing or in my speech, I started saying, I'm new here. I'm not going to make it uncomfortable for my viewers. I'm going to actually bring clarity to my objective. Hey, just 3 years ago, my eye jumping. Just 3 years ago, I was studying this concept. Now I'm in mobility. I have clarity as to we need this. And it doesn't matter if I have 20 years of experience. It doesn't matter if I just started yesterday. I know enough to get started. So when you tell your audience, this is another thing, tell your clients, tell your audience, tell your, partners, tell your vendors what you are going to do. Are you trying to unmute yourself? Oh. So you need to tell your audience what you're going to do. When you started like now coming across authoritative, they're like, oh, she knows what she's talking about, right? I might just keep repeating one level, just the foundation, because most businesses don't have a solid foundation. They start off want to be successful from the top. They want to start off at the top and they don't understand why the business model crumbles and falls down. And then you get burnt out and then you don't want to do it anymore. No, it's okay. And you don't want to do the business concept anymore because you don't have no more clarity. So credibility of the proposed approach. Credibility for me was when I was the one that said, you know what, I am a trustee, or I used to own, or, my credit is now fixed because of the knowledge that I applied. So, someone say, oh, knowledge is power. And I always say, no, applied knowledge is power because we can sit on information. We can be the best in the room. We could be the best skilled. We could be the best as far as the best communicator. You can look the part. This is where it became credibility. I didn't want to look a part. I wanted to be the part, right? Also be ambitious, have innovation potential, and is beyond the state of art. So don't, my thing is be different, sound different, groundbreaking objectives. At the time in my business concept, there were so many deaths that occurred. I'm like, yo, we need this. So I put out there the urgency of your craft. Again, there may be, and even if you look at a visual, right? You go down the aisle in the grocery store, it's all different companies of loaf of breads, all different cases of companies of waters, and so forth and so forth, right next to each other. There's going to be some clients that's going to be geared specifically for you. I always like to tell people, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person if you want to write that in your notes. Be different, sound different. There's so many people talking about, business models, business credit, business, there's all these different starts of business, but no one's talking about the how you run a course. How do you state the course? How do you actually continue to go beyond the state of art? Okay, now you have a beautiful brand, beautiful logo. You have maybe the beautiful face of your product, but you're not selling. Your marketing videos look amazing, but you have no potential clients. That engaging and that being ambitious will draw clients to you. One of the number one things that I always say to people in general was like, you got to become the person that people want to come to. This vision of the inner C circle developed from my own struggles. Start understanding, how did I actually create a program that we mass over a certain amount of money and without even promoting money? So no one knows what we've made. No one knows what we have massed in the 3 short years of our level of success, our knowledge, or our our definition of success. Some people may say, oh, I made this, I made that, but then one bankruptcy, it takes them out. So what we started to do, we started building the importance of staying in business, because everyone can start a business. You can go start an LLC. Most of us are, trying to figure out if we started the paperwork right. Most of us are trying to figure out if we're on the right track, right? This all goes back to the start of excellence. You may not have your first sale yet. You may not have your first consultation. You might not have your first product launch or anything of that nature. But when you start with clarity, then it will be breeze. You say, this don't feel like work anymore. This is because I have clarity. I have credibility. Maybe you selling hair products. You're like, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what my product looks like. You may have shown something. Me, I had to wait to build. So the only thing that I can do is use myself as an example. I didn't have clients. I didn't have courses and all those things yet. I had to build. So social media became a platform. And I'm going to be honest, social media handicapped me because of my personality, because I believe that I don't run into strangers. I believe that I'm a walking billboard. But my product is a product that is for everyone, especially the elders that are not on Facebook, not on social media, scrolling on your day-to-day. And my product was only in a box, confined to this. So then when I'm trying to step outside my market, it's like, it's a brand new day. It's a brand new avenue. And honestly, that's where we're at. And we're so excited that we're like, okay, we're going back to the drawing board. It's okay when you want to start from excellence or start of excellence. Write this in your notes. Remove pride from having to go back to the drawing board. And every time I will go back to the drawing board, I may say, oh, I'm gonna take a break. Oh, I'm gonna stop this. Sales and sales and sales come because one, there are a few things that I had to focus on. The impact. That was the number one thing that I focused on. I didn't say, oh, I need to get out my situation. I need this amount of money. I stopped saying, I want to become a millionaire. I stopped saying, I want to make $100,000 a month. I stopped saying that because one, with the social platform or the word of mouth, right? My seed's always sharing. And this is why I love so many different components that fit in with business. Guess what I did? I didn't realize I was creating taglines, mottos, family-oriented settings where it's like people really believe that they were like related to me, right? You can't tell nobody different. But that's something I created. But guess what? It wasn't intentionally. It wasn't planned out. It was because I was only focused on the impact. And I became more creative by just the passion. Like, okay, I know I have to be clear with my objective. My objective is everybody needs this information. If you don't, this is what's going to happen. So if you still, whatever your product is, and we can open up for, telling me your background. So that way I want to speak to you in your business line, or maybe you want to start something and you're trying to get clarity. Hopefully these steps first start unpacking that analysis. It's called analysis paralysis, where you're like having a fear of starting up. You start and then you stop. You come out, you want to promote, you want to come out, start talking about it, and then you draw back in because of others in the room may be two steps on the ladder ahead of you. But you don't know, it may have took them 20 years to get there versus you just coming in and they need exactly what you have. So that belief, going back to that seed that you plant, focus on the impact, right? The expected impacts listed in your work ethic. Let me tell you, I get up, I pray. I have to write this out. Even if I'm getting better, we're like, okay, I got to take my medicine. I got to drink my water. Like everything has to be written out, especially if I have kids and I'm like, I got to get them dropped off by a certain time. I got to get this. I got to get these consultations laid out. I got to get these emails. Gratefully that I work with third world countries contractors. So I work late night. Sometimes we be on Zoom calls after 12 a.m. So therefore I get everything laid out. Most of the time I'll have allocated a task for the week, and therefore I run my own social media. A lot of people don't do that. I don't like automatic responses. I want to engage. Let me tell you, always search for new knowledge. That's another thing. My work ethic became getting closer and closer and closer to my next client, because we don't know who's our next client, right? All we know is we put in the work. I stood by this model. I have not changed. I don't care what money comes through the business bank account. I have not changed my model. And I started saying that how many people can adapt this model? How many people can adapt this regimen? Just looking at a simplicity of all I got to do is write it down, look at the list, expect the return on my investment, because if I invested time, if I invested research, all these things, I gotta get one sale. That I honestly, I'll be like, you know what? Today is going to be the day I have to get a sale. And guess what? If I don't get a sale, I need to write out what I did and what I did not do. Social media is another way that has helped me. Also, always in search of new knowledge. So Google alerts, please write this down. Whatever city and state that you're in, city council news, if they're like, wanted to get connected with the community, maybe you offer some type of community service, maybe you offer some type of whatever your business, say, hey, I do wigs and I want to help young girls be empowered of their self-esteem, whatever it is you want to talk, get your brand out there with these city councils, because hold them accountable for what they want to do in the community. Eventbrite, let me tell you, Eventbrite has been the misnomer, like the low key of like getting your face out there. Then when they start saying like, oh, you're big on social media already, then you kind of just create your own level of respect of how people treat you. You don't even understand how many times I've landed a deal, how many times I booked a meeting just by eye contact. I'll be looking at, let me tell you something. Competitiveness, strengthening the competitiveness and growth development needs and solutions is like, I thrive for that. Like when I go live, that's eye contact for me because it's social. It's like, I can't touch you physically, but a lot of people be like, when you go live, I feel your energy. Oh, y'all gonna feel me. So we're gonna keep going live. So that may be a fear for other people. But if you was in a room and you were talking to somebody in a room, what's the difference? And especially if you look cute, you'd be looking at yourself anyway. So practice looking in the mirror, be yourself, but also have that strengthening of a competitive, like, look, when I go live, y'all lives don't sound like my lives. I really be like that. Or if I'm tuning in to other people's lives, I'm like, oh, this live boring. Now I see why other people like my lives. I become so competitive with the engagement. I didn't know that I was doing this. Let me tell you, write down these key points because someone pointed it out to me. I didn't have a Instagram manual, right? I would tell my C's, write this in the chat, right? Mind you, I'm telling them what to do. Write this in the chat. You need to see this for yourself. I may say, type stay rooted. Everyone's typing stay rooted and I'm pinning the comment. Do you know how good that make a person feel? And I didn't understand until a celebrity pinned my comment. I'm like, and that makes your audience feel so connected. So my competitive, when I started seeing how people react, guess what happened? Badges start being purchased, sales start being purchased. Then what I also started doing, the environmental, socially important impacts, which is creating a safe space of engagement. Then now you're like, oh, I want her to see my comment. So now everyone don't feel scared to comment and interact with you. And now you're like, oh, they paying attention. Oh, they're not just listening to this live. They're actually learning. Boom, it's a sale. I'm not focused on the sell expert. I'm focused on how good I make you feel. Because 9 times out of 10, it's an organic live. I promise you, I do not prepare for lives. I may have one topic. I may have seen something. I may have been driving and thought of something. That's how the birth of Car Chronicles became. I just socially find the importance of where my product needs to become impacted. If we say, I come from a family that didn't have wealth, I come from a family that don't talk about wealth, then how about I make you all my cousins? How about we all become family? And now you can start passing this information on to your family. Do you get that? It may say like, oh, through this 5 lives, nobody purchased something, but what I did was I planted the confidence. I planted the seed. I planted the welcome environment to say, I'm now going to put the notifications on for her. And then when I get paid, whatever she has in my budget or whatever it is, I'm going to prepare to purchase because I've jumped on these 5 lives and every time she's rocked my world. I talk about the day-to-day struggles of family, legacy, what we don't know, and what we should know. So whatever your product is, if it's saying, okay, you like wearing hair, but what about the hair underneath? What about the natural, taking care of this? Oh, you may bake cakes, you may bake cupcakes, but what about the steps of this? What about the recipes? Like, start coming up with different concepts that you sound different, because you're making a socially important impact, but it's still saying the same thing, but you sound different. You have the competitiveness because you're like, they typing in the chat, we pending. Sometimes I do a competition on there. I'm like, oh, I might say, some people may comment a lot. So now I didn't activate that activity. They like, boom, boom, you right, go girl. You know, they engage, and I'm like, oh, this person is on fire. Whoever this person is, they're sitting at home probably running around their kitchen. They're running around. They're like, probably got my live on the TV screen. But that right there is now building up to say, she gave me something for free. She's already given knowledge. She's already valuable. She's already friendly. She's already inviting. I have to stay connected with her. So the impact, and this is for anything that you do, nails, if you sell clothes, I know people don't like this, send something free. I'm very big on like, no. I'm really big on, especially someone that has like a following or someone that's a celebrity. It's going to come from my heart. It's going to come from, if it's in my spirit. But when I get those people that's like, well, what you going to do for me? I stay far away from them. People may not agree with me, but you know, when you have a vision, you have clarity of the objective, you don't change who you are. I have said it numerous times. I was new in the game. I've said it publicly on stages and everything. Like, I was homeless 3 years ago. I started with nothing, and people were like, oh, if you give me a free this, if you do me a free this, and I'll promote it. I was like, you're going to pay and promote. That's like, because I will respect you for whatever you have, and I'm going to come as a client as well. So stick to your one plan, effectiveness of the purpose, and then also you are proof of the product. So when you become proof of your own product, it's nothing no one can tell you. No one can try to tell you to make a sale. You know, there are people like, keep looking, logging on, and be like, dang, she ain't gonna sell yet. And then sometimes I'll go on sale, and it's like, sell. I'm like, oh, y'all just be sitting waiting on the sale, because I haven't, how can I say, pacified my clientele. I haven't made this how can I say, like, this outlook as if like I'm only going to do this for sales. Everyone that has come to me is either going to be free, it's going to be purchased, it's going to be given, like as a gift or a competition, or as a gift or something like that. So effectiveness of the purpose is you are proof. So stick to the proof of your product. If you took a long time to do research, finding your manufacturers, finding your event space, finding your real estate properties, doing Airbnb, all this stuff that you research, don't let nobody put the value on you, because you are the product. You even have to taste your product. So if you say, man, the way I decorated this Airbnb is a place where I will feel comfortable living. This is why I always go back to, you have to become the person that people want to come to. So if I say people are coming to me in vulnerability, they need help. They don't want to see me Rolexes and diamonds, and they don't want to see that if they know it took 3 years to get to where I am. Now it's going to look like I'm just spending the wealth on from those sales, even though it may very well be whatever the case, but you want to still stay focused on the impact. All right. I know I be getting long-winded. The reason why I have slides is to basically stay on a time frame. But if there's no interruptions, if there's no questions, then we're going to keep going, and then I can do a separate Q&A so we won't have interruptions on this live. So that I'm on this recording, so that'll be cool. So quality, efficiency. You know, there are so many people that's like, you know, I just started with, you know, with this. I had this to start. I started with my credit, started with credit card. I leveraged credit. I got this. I'll use an example for like Toro. Got a luxury vehicle, want to just throw it on there to make money. The effectiveness of the work plan, including the appropriateness of the task and resources. Is this a short term? Because that's what it's saying. Do you want to be in this short term or do you want to be in this long term? What is your ultimate goal? Is there quality over your product, or is just a moment that you're just having that you want to run through people, build up clientele, and then run on to the next thing? People can sense that. You know, marketing for me is just really telling people what they need. I know that it's like, how simple is that? I'm like, just tell them what they need. Because some people don't know what they need. People are looking for a change and they don't even know how to ask for it. And when I say it's okay to not know what you want, you have to start asking your clientele, or, you know, I say in the DM or sometimes I say, well, what exactly are you looking for? They be like, I'm like, wait, don't book anything. Let's figure this out. And it's like, you don't want to waste people's time, and you don't want them to waste your time by trying to get them to form an idea for you. Like, okay, we seen that you was homeless 3 years ago. What can you do for me? I don't know what I want to do, but I got this $20,000. How can you flip it for me? And you get people that's just like, I'll take it, and don't have the appropriateness of the task. Don't have the right resources, because now I'm going to bait you into a credit program just to tell you what the credit report should do, how to do it, get you a loan. Now you're back in debt, and that cycle is never changing on how you need to get out of the reoccurrence of a borrower. So people try to understand, like, well, how you keep saying you walk into the bank, you don't own nothing, control everything. How are you sticking to this model? Because I could have folded under pressure. But I could not fold under pressure because the participants, the success stories, the testimonials was enough for the quality of what we do, the efficiency of what we do. Because now it's like, you don't have to just believe me. Now you have to look at others, and that you're feeling like, I'm not a part of this circle. I need to be a part. And this is why you are here. This is why you're actually locked in, tuned into something that's going to help you, coach you. This is a tool. We're going to do this twice a month. Even if I see things that come up, I'll send things to you guys. So therefore you don't feel alone, and you're just trying to say, okay, I went through this month, but now I have this done, and what can I hold myself accountable for? Because a lot of people hire coaches, hire mentors, and they just put it all in their mentor. Oh, I want you to teach me everything, but then they don't show you how to actually maneuver right in your own notes. That's why I always tell people, I be on live, I be like, write this down. I come from this place, whether if it's online, in person, on Zoom, over the phone. And I started realizing that I'm holding all this information to myself. Everything that I'm talking about literally was the blueprint, was the layout of how business continued to generate. And there's so many other ideas. And I'm like, wait a minute, we haven't mastered this. So I may have spoke on something like started a podcast. I'm like, wait, I can't. Like, I'm okay to say, wait, that was premature. Wait, let me step back. I'm not just going to throw something out just for money. I have to focus on my delivery. So the structures, the procedures, including tasks, factors, down season, down season, allow room for growth. Let me tell you, there are so many people that are giving up. There are so many people that has lost hope because they don't understand their seasons of business. If I was a construction worker. If I was a construction worker and I know that in the winter it's snow, sleet, rain, the business is going to be slow. But in the summer, spring, fall, possibly, it's not that much rain. That is the season where I'm going to be able to be a builder, and I'm going to be able to make sure that I can go through the season. So what am I doing with the income, the revenue, or even with the sales, the client base? What am I doing when it get ready to go back into another season of the down season? I have to play in the factors of, can I store up enough stock to coast through this bad season? Or can I come up with another idea that I done thought about? I thought about multiple different ideas, right? Don't put pride. Don't put ego in the mix of your down season. Somebody said, oh, it's the down season, it's slow. And you're just going to sit there like sales are not coming in. Start finding other ways. Like me, what I have done, I started realizing that we're so out of tune with reality. This is why I detoxed for 40 days. I had a couple classes and I seen this, that clientele base went down because no one was able to see me. I was not visual. I was not present. But in that meantime, I started being active in the community. I started shaking hands with other people in the, they like, we need you here, here, here. I'm like, whoa, my seeds need me over here. But why would I place myself in one box? Because we understand the seasons. So I started, well, like when you first started, you had cards, you had brochures. I started getting now brochures. I started now coming up with more content that was based for street based for reality off of social media. And I'm okay with understanding where I am. This is why if you have, you can have 100 people on a call or you can have 1 or 2 people on a call. It's never going to change the outlook or the message because the quality of the efficiency is still there. So now if they say, oh, well, I'm watching this replay or I'm watching it live. She talking like she got 1,000 people on here. Well, that's because there's someone and all we need is just one. All you need is one sale, one deal, one consultation, one product to sell off the shelf. And then you don't know what that word of mouth, you don't know how the streets started talking by your appearance, your comfortability. So who is it to say that where you're starting or where you are should allow your task to not be the same as if it was a room full of people or there was no people? You have to include the risk. And when you include the risk, then you're like, if it happens, it happens, it don't, but we still got to get it done. That's my approach. God willing, and my health, I don't know if, how many people were aware of my health is still not 100%. So me, in my mind, I'm like, if I still have breath, I have an opportunity because there are some people that don't have breath and they don't have the opportunity. They actually went to their grave full. My goal is to leave empty. So if someone say, okay, this is like my recorded journal, rather if it helps 1 or a million, I still completed the quality of the efficiency. So let me tell you, structures and procedures, make sure your business is structured in a way that it goes through its up and down seasons. You may have summertime is a slow season. People want to go put their kids in camp. They want to go on vacation. No one wants to talk about saving money and not, they don't want to talk about spending $1,000 on a product. So what do? Come up with a lower product, come up with a different concept, just temporarily, but that other product will still go be there when people start coming back to reality, start coming back to their senses and say, hey, I wonder if she's still available because I was thinking about it this whole time. My focus wasn't there, but that didn't mean I still didn't want it. But here you go. In one season, you gave up and now they're looking for you. One season, you couldn't coast that storm. You wasn't riding the coast and you couldn't weather that storm. And then you gave up and that next client was your biggest client. So for me, I have to always approach this as one, we start with excellence. So when we have a sales are down, there's a lot of business models, million, multi-million, billion, trillion-dollar businesses that have up and down sales. What is it to say that your business model is just not supposed to have up and down? So the key thing for me is acknowledging it and knowing, okay, we know that these seasons are going to come year and year around. That's why we started this at half mark of the year. What is it going to look like for you on the half mark of the year? From 6 months on down, going into the new year. I pray that y'all all be consistent. I pray that you be engaging, ask questions, get comfortable, meaning from your comfort zone, right? Get comfortable in that zone, because if you're not, it's like, how do you master it if you need to get out or if you need to make room for that zone? Maybe that's the zone you need to be in, but you won't know until you get started. You won't know until you stay there. You won't know until you stay consistent. This is why we've mastered this process. So I always like to ask these questions. What are your persistent levels? Like no matter what, okay? What do you do when you're frustrated? I'll use myself as an example. And you can write it in the chat, but also just internally start processing it. Like when I get frustrated, what do I do? Do I just say, I'm closing the books, I'm logging out, I'm blocking my schedule? What do you do when you get frustrated? One, sometimes when I'm at my max of frustration, I literally just tune in with my children. I go back to like, okay, I still have a a life to live, right? Everything is not based on business every day. So sometimes I have to just log out, regroup, get out my emotions, get out my feelings, because I can't stop. The reason why I feel like I can't stop, because no matter if I'm frustrated, there's someone on the other side of what I do praying for me not to get frustrated, praying for me to have patience with them, praying for me to work with them. Like today, praying for me to show up, regardless if it's not a lot of registrations. If there's a lot of registrations that maybe I can't handle or don't know if I can handle it, I still can't allow success to pull me any other kind of way. I have to go back to the drawing board, which is the seed that I've planted. So when I'm frustrated, I have to go back to reality, which is like, why did you get started anyway? What is your reason of getting started? Yes, some of us go to our children. If that's our why, right? Why are we doing this? If you have to look at your children and say, you know what? No, I gotta let me open the MacBook back up. Let me open the laptop, and let me find another source, find a creative way, partner with someone. That has been a very frustrating thing for me. And when I started finding myself by letting energy lead me, because I always talk about not contaminating my environment. Oh, that is so frustrating, right? Because I could be so positive. And on top of that, the way that I deal with people, I be expecting the me out of other people. Whole time, the trickery up their sleeve, I didn't see it. The joker on their face, I never seen it. Because I'm just expecting you to come to the table just as I'm coming to the table. What do you need? How can we come together? What can we do to help the people? And the whole time is, what can you do? They're just needing me to be the value. This is why I always say be potent, right? This is my favorite word. This became a favorite word of the season, like be potent. Don't dilute what you have. And on top of that, the biggest frustration is trying to find if a partnership is needed. If your partnership does not equally bring benefit, you don't need a partnership. When starting a business, if you're feeling like, well, kind of what do I need you for? If you're the blueprint, if you're the one to know all the ins and outs, and that you're like, okay, I'm just going to get a partnership because I don't want to have to put 100% of the money. I'm just going to put half of the money, right? But when they put half of the money, you don't want to know all the ins and outs. You don't want to know all the work. So then you come into the table with 150% and they just come with 50%. They don't have the same tenacity as you. They don't have the same outlook as you. They don't have the same, work ethic as you. So you're trying to figure out, okay, that's one of the most frustrating things is like, how do I grow? How do I pick a team? You have to take on the risk. You can't give up. You have to show up. When I hire someone, I literally had to say in the back of my mind, technically, you work for me. I'm sorry. Technically, I work for them, because as soon as I bring someone on, and I've gotten better with saving myself time, depending on the type of task, it's a pre-recorded training video. Sometimes you can save yourself time when you just know what you need to do, and you like, look, I need this, and the third, and you send some YouTube videos, and hey, find out this, find out. I might not do it all, but to kind of say, yes, I'm looking for those that already have the experience. And then when you had the experience, I want you to be like 10 times that you was better than you worked at the other company. So that clarity, knowing what you want, knowing how you want this ran, because someone say, oh, I have skills, but what if their skills wasn't up to par to your company's standard? Don't be afraid to actually say, I need more from you to be a partner, or I need more from you to be an employee. I need more from you to be a contractor. Like, this is okay. I can see the bare minimum, but I'm going to send you some other things that's going to help brand or build or grow in this business sector. And do you independently pursue understanding? Sometimes, I lack understanding, because I'll be like, do y'all not understand what I'm saying? Right? It's like, okay, you don't understand what I'm saying, but guess what? I have to independently pursue understanding, because if I say, okay, what are you trying to say? If I'm talking to someone that's helping me build a business, I have to go to that person and say, I really don't understand what you're saying, because guess what? Obviously, I hired them to do something that I don't know how to do. And I had to humble myself to say, yes, this is the company. This is the brand. Yes, I'm the marketing, the face of the company, right? But I still have to be humble enough to say, explain to me, what are how did you get this? And how did you do this? How did you bring so many, revenue? I had a very, very bad website. I still think it's terrible. It's a beautiful website. Don't get me wrong, but the kinks and trinkets of it was terrible. And I didn't know how to pursue understanding. I was so busy that was not important to me. I'm like, look, go to the website. Whole time, nobody's saying that they cannot purchase anything. Lost sales. Then I started realizing, okay, I'll get in and do it myself, right? I start creating other links, all sales all over the place. And this is another thing, building that comfortability. Do you keep accurate through or thorough? Do you keep accurate and thorough and consistent records of your progress? When I started getting better with this, I said, oh, from this post, from this class, from this controversy, we've made over this amount of sales. So wait a minute, why would we only made that one post? That was 6 months ago. People don't remember that because, a lot of people, they just save it, right? They may say, you might have a post, you may have 300 likes, you had 2,500 saves, right? And like 900 shares. And you're like, okay, so somebody was engaging with this topic. Go back and track your progress. And then you go back and say, people need this information. Bookkeeping, banking spreadsheets of service and customers. I know that a lot of people use like Funnel, ClickFunnels, MailChimp, however you choose with layout, that's to your discretion. There are some people that like, I still write it down. People have family-oriented business, like my kids involved, or husband and wife are involved, and things like that. Keep it in the family. Also understanding where your money coming from and where it's going. I had a bad experience where not understanding where I was really producing and where I was really lacking. To understand how can I speak to my customers without them not speaking to me, to tell me like, hey, I'll give an example. Consultations, classes, mentorship was like all on one merchant, right? And I couldn't understand what was really thriving because there will be a lump sum that will be deposited into the trust account. Then I was getting paid from internet pays, lives or subscriptions. All this is all over the place. And I wasn't really understanding where the actual services that were really helping. Of course, one of our biggest that we can see is the mentorship, which we call it the trusteeship enrichment program. And we also started noticing people love to just get the trust and learn later, because I've posted so much free information. They're like, look, I've studied her page long enough that I'm going to just come in and get it. So we realized that when we do a one-day sale, or when we do like a 24 hours, people go crazy because we mastered the progress and we record how people react. So now we're like kind of like mastering what we need to do with our customers. We're figuring out what they're doing. So right now we know people are not trying to sell. So I'm not trying to put anything out like this, like detrimental, or it's like, yeah, we got graduation going on, we got something to celebrate, but what are people really looking for right now? Now you have some client base that are like, man, this is the summer, I need to find something to do. The kids are like, not going to after school. I got time to join a class, join the mentorships, set up shop. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do. Christmas coming. Some people are already thinking about the next year. And that's where this came in. I'm like, you know what? This is something that I do all the time that is so helpful. This is how I have meetings. This is how I regroup. This is how I figure out where I am. So I won't lose my mind. You can actually lose your mind. And this is where posting came in. Posting, save the post, controversial, the most liked post, the most engaging post, and the most frequently asked questions. You give people all the time. Oh, why do we need a trust? What is the trust for? Classes like, how do I begin? That's like the number one question that we get. How do I just begin? And that's where this came into play. And helping people understand like where they are, no matter what you do. We didn't want to just have something geared like, you got to do what I do. You got to do what we do. You got to do something out of your norm. I don't ever want no one to come out of who they are, feeling like they're like compromising their own integrity, just start changing everything that they probably worked so hard for, that they're thinking their dream, business idea. And it's like, you know what? This is working for her. Let me just jump on away. I never wanted to come from that place. And individually talking to people, or even just put in a group setting like this, like that's private, that's like, okay, how are you maintaining your mental capacity, your client base, your social engagement, and money? Like, how are you maintaining all that? And I have to look back and be like, oh, this, like everything was just written down. Like, someone needs to know this. And that's, a lot of my stuff I say in my videos, I don't know where the stuff come from. I literally be like, share this video. Someone needs to know this. And it just becomes a trend. I don't know if I'm just a trendsetter. All right. Or I'll be like, hi, I'm back with another video. I'm your favorite trustee. I'm back with a video from the federal government. These things became real trendy. So now what I'm doing is I'm looking at the most controversial. I'm looking at the most talked about. Man, I like her because she's coming straight from the federal government. She keeps saying family. I feel like family. And they be like, hey, cousin. I'm like, hey, cousin, why would I not show that you are important? Who knows what you're looking for? Who knows what? And I always say this, whatever I say resonates with people. I literally, this is who I am day to day. Like I said, it don't have to be a sale. It's just who I am. I want to see all other people win for themselves. Anybody that come against me, it's unfortunate because they may have misunderstood me. They may have felt like, damn, how can I be like her? But I'm like, do y'all not know what it takes to be me? Like, I struggle with what it takes to be me, because it's always something happening. Adversity, man. I talk about this a lot and we're going to wrap up here. Where I'm at. I'm at 1 hour. Adversity, acknowledging my difficulties, right? I am literally in the middle of battling depression. But the fact that I know it, right? The fact that I acknowledge it, how can I just say, even though I'm depressed, I want to pour it to other people still, right? Even though I'm not in my right mind, I'm not in my right emotion, I'm not my 100% best from my health, from my emotions, from my mental, all these different things. What continues to keep me going? I don't let it define how I feel about myself. And I say that because I'm like, Lay, just 8 months ago, you lost your father. I have to continuously talk to myself, because if I'm sitting in silence and I'm listening to myself, like, you're sad, don't get out the bed. If I keep hearing those things, I'm like, okay, jump up, walk, play some music, play things that, even if it's not business related, get some good feel. Maybe in this season, you don't have a lot of friends to call. That's okay. You may connect to your spiritual higher power. Like you said, your kids, right? Start fighting that resistance of, don't do it this day. And even if it gives you some time to take some time, that time has to be implemented for something. Like me, stepping away for 40 days wasn't just like, it was like, regroup, because you're losing yourself. You're losing your character. You don't want your fans, or I won't say fans, but the seeds to be like, oh, she ain't got her together. She all over the place. And I act kindly towards myself and the views of failure as an opportunity for self-improvement and every hardship that I created. The reason why I say I created, because what you do and what you allow are two different things. So if you're doing something and it's self-sabotage, or what you allow and you like, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, I know I ain't supposed to be going out smoking hookah this night. I need to be rebranded. I need to be, but you allowed it. You're now distracted. And one of the things that I did throughout my years and my journey was, if it's something that made me super sad, I put something there. So July 11th was the first day of my trusteeship enrichment program, right? But 4 years ago, I was proposed to, and that proposal, of course, the relationship has not happened. So that was like a real sad thing. Like, oh my God, ruin my damn birthday. So every year on my birthday, I didn't want to sit in that. Like, oh, well, one of my birthdays. So what I did was, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to create a success anniversary. On that day, I'm going to start the Trusteeship Enrichment Program. So every 7-Eleven, it's like, oh my God, we're on year 4. Oh my God, we're on year 5. Like now these obstacles become anniversary dates. Put that in your notes because I'm telling you now. You know, if there's something that reminds you of a moment, like, oh my God, this was the day I got fired. You be like, now's gonna be a day I started something. It might be a YouTube channel. It might be, it might be something that I've started. And also, I tend to ignore feelings of failure rather than using them to improve. Every day is an opportunity to improve. So if it's something that didn't go right yesterday, it's an opportunity to impact tomorrow. When you can wake up, there's some people that I would say wake up dead, right? They wake up and they died in their sleep, basically. But if it's something that you did not accomplish, it's like, okay, you didn't accomplish that day. Let's work on accomplishing next week. Let's work on accomplishing next month, next year. Like 2024, like, okay, you know how when they write something like 2023 is my year, you 6 months, you like, life has been dragging me. 2024 for sure, right? And it's like the fact that you're speaking it into existence, the fact that you're acknowledging like it has not been so great. I'm gonna sign up with this program. I don't know what I'm gonna get out of this, but what I am gonna do is try me. I'm going to bet on me. I'm going to invest in me. I'm going to step up against my fears because now it's like, if I don't know it's amazing, because I didn't try. Then you get to, you be like, I'm so glad I didn't do this. Like, y'all my day ones now. Like you my day ones. So now it's like, dang, looking back at where we started, and I'm seeing we because I want to see everything that we talked about tonight, that 6 months from now, you be like, because of this, because of how you laid it out, because how you spoke on your own personal struggles. A lot of people want to talk about the glitz and glamour, all the success, how much money they made, what they make monthly. The wealthy, they're private on paper. This is why the part two is because now I'm talking about adversity, right? Is my gift. You know how many people that got scammed? And that's what's going to be a part 2, but we got to have a continuance, but still confused about money because you never knew what you wanted. You just wanted an opportunity, but you didn't know what this opportunity was going to benefit you. Maybe that opportunity was only designed for them. Maybe God only gave them that vision. And you just running with the masses or you're jumping waves because of what it did for them. You don't know if they telling you one thing and feeding you, how can I say this? They're like, they got all the meat off the bone and they giving y'all the gristle. Right? Y'all think it's meat, right? But they're not even giving you all the ins and outs. That's why a lot of people be like, I love you. You give so much. I'd be like, really? What's more where that came from? Right? I'd rather give so people can say, I can trust where this come from. And not just me, whatever their spirit, whatever their energy, whatever the universe spoke to them. Say, this is where I want to plant my feet. This is why this called the inner seed circle, because in this circle in this environment, we're only focused on how does your foundation look? What does the soil feels like? Is it good soil? Because you don't have the time to get caught up into negativity. You don't have time to now have your mind all over the place and feeding into what somebody else lost, what somebody else going through, how social media is on a rant right now and trying to, tear other people down. And then you're just sitting there like this and wasting time when other people are building for the next season. See, the whole point of, if you think about gardening, if you think about how you're planting a seed, one, it's not going to happen overnight. But guess what? You got someone to be like, dang, that tomato popped up real quick. Where does cucumber come? This is popped up. Why? Because you planted it correctly. You took your time. You watered it. That is the continuous, consistency, the discipline, the focus, right? And that's what we want to gear your mind around. Whatever your vision is, you write it down. You're like, I want to open up a salon suite. You don't even want to do here. You just want to own the whole building. Write it down. And what is it going to require? And what is it going to take for you to get to that level? And that should be your focus. If you put one foot in front of the other, I promise you, you're going to get 10 steps ahead of where you are. So if today is just an opening, this is the introduction, a brainstorming of like, wow, this literally opened my mind to show me then I'm not in no type of form of mobility. I am not even expanding to understand, what do I actually want? How can I talk to my customers? Yes, I know how to do this. I know how to make wig units. I know how to do makeup. I know how to do this, shirts and all this. But how am I going to be able to tell and talk to my customers, bring them in? What would somebody say to me if I want to buy? I started putting myself in position to be the customer. We know people ain't got thousands of dollars, but how do you operate that way when you say, well, somebody around the corner, they wait, thousands of dollars is nothing to them. So I can't base the services off of someone's pocket. The only thing that I can do is open my mouth, say, come ye here. I say, ye hear ye all, right? Everyone is a client to me. Everyone is a prospect. Every time I go out here, I have to get at least 2 to 3 numbers. That's on a minimum. I'm gonna be honest, that's on a minimum. Somebody be like, oh, I like your hair. Or if I'm covered, I like your overgarments. I'm like, hey girl, I'm like, child, I got this from such and such. And I'm like, you on social media? Well, I make joke. I was at a festival. I was like, oh, this is my time to get my followers up. And I literally was like, follow me, I'm an influencer. And everybody was like, they didn't want to make it known, but I was loud in the crowd. I am not afraid to embarrass. Like, people may feel like it's embarrassing. I'll be the joke. I'll be the joke of the day, but I guarantee you that I spoke to one person. That was my intentions. I'm going back to Eventbrite. Sometimes it may require me to say, Lay, you've been in this game, but now let's start inviting families out. So maybe you need to do a free event. I'm humble enough to say, if I go live every other day for free, why can't I go to this establishments? Because a lot of people are looking to meet me in person. And I have to understand where I am and how much I've impacted other people. Sometimes I don't be seeing it. I'll be like, why y'all be crying? Why y'all be like, oh my God, they're like, oh my God. And I'll be like, come on, no, don't come in, cousin, give me a hug. Don't be causing no scene. But I bring it in like a family oriented, but it's not something that it's not a marketing strategy. It's who I am, because I'm talking to those that have been through some trials and tribulations, and I'm showing people my journey. So when I say my adversity is my gift, it's because I've looked back 3 years ago. Last year, I lost my townhome due to something that was a life experience. I had no control over it. So I'm supposed to I'm literally running from hotel to hotel, doing recordings, mentorships, and it was just like, just bear with me, y'all. They like, the fact that you here, the fact that you ain't canceled, we respect that. So sometimes you want to worry about how you show up, and people are just waiting for you to show up. I don't always have the prettiest marketing. I don't always have the prettiest, I don't always be prepared. I just get up there and show up. And that's what you need to do in your marketing. That's what you need to do in your business concept. Start showing up for whatever you believe that's here. Start emptying the clip. I always say that. Don't hoarder information here. If you know enough, start writing it down so you can see it. Then we're going to get into breaking it down into a monthly. How does it look? Okay, for the month of starting on June 15th. This is what I wrote. Looking at my notes, put the date on your notebook. June 15th. And then from the next time we have another class, what did you get done in that process? And how did it make you feel? Did it make you feel like, okay, I'm one step closer to success? This is easier than I expected, right? I'm actually feeling the motion now. And then you look back and be like, oh my goodness, look at all these testimonies. I do that all the time. Sometimes I be crying, I be booing. I'm like, because I don't think y'all understand that it started with a vision. I don't think y'all understand that literally I seen people shouting, crying for joy, saying, thank you, my legacy has started. I've seen it without even having the first client. So when you see it, you work towards it. No matter the adversity, things are going to happen in life. You got to figure out a way. You got to find out a way. And I appreciate you watching this video.